Hey YouTube, this is Guy, and I am back with another watch review. This is a review of the Seiko 5 model SNK809, and actually this is a re-review. I recorded this once and posted it, and the audio wasn't so good, so I decided I'm going to go ahead and redo it. So if you watch any of my other videos, they might be out of order a little bit chronologically, referring to one another, and if that happens, don't worry, it's not a big deal, but just thought I'd throw that info in here. So yeah, what we're looking at today is this watch. Again, it is the Seiko 5 model SNK809. This is a military style field watch, or some people might call it a tool watch in the Seiko 5 line. It's an inexpensive offering and probably one of the most popular watches that sells on Amazon.com. Speaking of which, it's where I picked mine up from, and I got it in the price point of roughly just under $60. I think it was $58 and change. So it is an extremely great value for an automatic watch. You know, this was my first automatic watch, and I bet it's probably the first automatic watch for a lot of people, if not this specific one, any number of the Seiko 5 watches. So yeah, you can't go wrong with any of these watches. So, you know, it's pretty obvious just based off of this little introduction that I am pretty pleased with this watch, and that would be true. Before we go into all of that, though, there is a few things that I'm not super pleased with, the strap being one of them, and we'll talk about that. You can probably see on the table that I have some other strap options that I have tried out with this watch, but the strap that this watch comes with, that I currently have on there, it's not so great. Another problem with this watch, and I'll also cover it a little bit later, this crown. Very, very small. So, you know, that's another negative. But there's not too many problems with this watch, considering the price point, you know, the value you get. It is really, it's excellent. You know, some specifics about this watch: it uses Seiko's 7S26C automatic movement. That movement does not feature hand winding, and it is not hacking. So those are some minor negatives. Hand winding, of course, would mean that you would rotate the crown in order to wind up the watch to give it power. That's not how this works. This is an automatic movement. Also, the hacking would mean that when you pull the crown out to set the time, you unsnap it and pop it out to that second position like I just did, the second hand would stop rotating. This watch does not hack, so the second hand continues to wind. Also a negative. It looks like we got some fingerprints on that glass there, as I can see it in the glare. So let me wipe that off for you with my little microfiber cloth, and we'll continue. So yeah, there's, you know, two features it doesn't have. They're not make or break features, but they would be nice. So other information about this movement: it's a 21 joule Seiko movement. It's got roughly a 40-hour power reserve, and that is correct. I have tested it. Mine lasted a little over 40 hours. I think 43, 44, somewhere in that ballpark, when I left the watch sitting for something, you know, around 2 days. It just kept running. So decent power reserve. It does have a rear exhibition window, or display window, which shows off that Seiko 7S26C movement. And it's not a highly decorated movement. It's interesting. If you've never had an automatic watch before, it's cool to see it, you know. So in the center of this movement, you'll see there's this rotor, and see how it's spinning around there as I rotate the watch. Gravity does its work. That's how this watch winds. It's basically how all automatic watches wind. That rotor spins around while it's on your wrist, and that continues to wind up the mainspring, which gives it, you know, its power source. Incidentally, if you were to pick the watch up and it was dead from having not worn it for a little while, you can just kind of hold it in your hand like this and start swinging it back and forth. That will get that rotor going, and, you know, do that for what I believe the manual suggests is roughly 30 seconds. And that should be enough power to throw it on your wrist, and you'll be good to go. Out of the box, this movement is advertised as being accurate to within negative 40 seconds per day to... No, I'm sorry, negative 20 seconds per day to as much as plus 40 seconds per day. That's a pretty big range, and a lot of people, myself included, would be pretty disappointed if they got a watch and it was, say, 40 seconds per day fast. But that's what you get for $58. And to be completely fair, a watch that might cost, I don't know, 10 times this much money. It's not going to be a whole lot more accurate than that, probably. A bit, they might suggest that it would be between 10 and 20 seconds per day instead of, 20 to 40. But automatic watches, mechanical watches, are inherently not quartz precision accurate. That's just the name of the beast. Until you start getting into the really, really high-end watches. A Rolex is supposed to be accurate within 2 to 4 seconds or something like that, if I'm not mistaken. But, those are $5,000 and up watches. So you're talking about what would that be, 100 times the cost of this watch? So, you get what you pay for in that regard. My watch out of the box was plenty more accurate than that. I want to say it runs fast by about 6 seconds per day. So that's pretty good. It's, just as good as any of my other watches. I have watches that are, several $100s that run roughly that good. Maybe not even quite that good. So I got lucky. It is luck of the draw. You might get one that is inherently slower or faster out of the box. There's good news, though. These watches are supposedly pretty easy to regulate. And what that means is, if you were to open up the case back, there is a little mechanism in there. Let me see if I can zoom in. It's hard to see. I'm getting some glare. The rotor's in the way. You see there's a little plus and minus sign there on the inside of the case. Well, if you open up the case, you can get in there and you can adjust that regulator to make the watch run faster or slower. And, there's instructions online. I've never done it myself, but as I understand it, it's not particularly difficult. And at this price point, if you were to accidentally damage something, I suppose it's not the end of the world. For most of us, $50 watch is nearly disposable. I know it's not nothing, but, you're not going to lose your mind, probably, if you screw it up. So you can get in there and regulate it relatively easily, as I understand it, if you, if your watch is running really, really fast or really, really slow. On the other hand, you could take it to a watchmaker, and I'm sure they could do it no problem. Of course, you're going to have to pay for that. You might end up paying more than what you paid for the watch. I wouldn't be surprised if that happened. But regulating these watches is an option. So if it is not getting good time out of the box, or if over time it starts running extra fast or extra slow, you have some options. Off topic a little bit, but if it starts suddenly running really fast or really slow, it could be that it's magnetized. And there's a tool you can buy that will demagnetize. They're not expensive, under $20, I think, on Amazon.com. So, that's another option. The way to test if it's magnetized is you get a small compass and focus. See if we can get some focus. Here we go. Take a small compass and you kind of run it around the watch like so. Pantomiming. I don't actually have a compass, but if the compass starts rotating like crazy, odds are it's magnetized. So, you can check and see if it is magnetized with a small, cheap compass, and if it is, you could buy that degausser, I think is what it's called, the tool that removes the magnetization. So yeah, that's basic information about the movement and the accuracy of the watch. Pretty simple stuff. Again, at this price point, you get what you pay for. It's not bad at all. In fact, I think it's quite good, but it's certainly not top of the line. What else should we talk about here? I suppose the quality and design of this watch. It's good. I like the design quite a bit. I think the quality is up there. But, some specifics. The crystal, the glass that's covering the dial, is a Seiko proprietary Hardlex Crystal, is what they call it. My research suggests that Hardlex is supposedly more durable and scratch resistant than your typical mineral crystal, but a step below the higher end sapphire crystals that you're going to see on more expensive watches. That is to say, it's still a good crystal. Mine is not scratched up, and I've worn it quite a bit. Mine looks pretty good. I mean, it presents nicely. I do have watches with sapphire crystals, and when you look through the crystal at the dial on those, it looks nicer. It's kind of like Ultra HD TV versus HD TV. To my eyes, they both look pretty darn good, but there is a difference, and you can kind of see it. Other than the crystal, the design of this case, the case is a 37 millimeter diameter case. So, from side to side, we're talking 37 millimeters. And the lug width, that's the dimension here, where the strap connects, that's 18 millimeters. It's small. And the problem is, and this is one of the problems I was talking about, and this is just an opinion, it's aesthetics, your mileage may vary. But to me, it's just a little too small. I still like it, I still wear it, but it presents on the wrist more like a dress watch. You know, it's petite. It's almost feminine in sizing, which is a shame because the look of the design is very masculine. It's this, you know, military style field watch. It's a tool watch. It's a robust looking style, but the presentation based on the size is very small on my wrist, which is roughly 7 inches. I'll put it on and do a wrist shot in a little bit here so you can see what I'm talking about. But point is, for me, that's a small issue. That's a small negative to this watch, the sizing. I have a Hamilton khaki field watch. That's the watch I originally wanted, but I decided I'm not going to spend $400+ on an automatic watch as my first watch. So I'm going to get this watch, which looks similar, and I'm going to kind of have like the poor man's Hamilton. And the Hamilton is a 38mm case, so just 1 more millimeter in diameter, but more importantly, it has 20mm lugs. So 2mm at the lug dimension. I think the height, I think they're both about 10 or 11mm in this dimension, so that's almost irrelevant. But I'll tell you, the Hamilton just looks more durable, not durable, that's the wrong word, more rugged, more masculine. And it's because of that size difference, if I'm being honest. I think that's the majority of the reason. So yeah, this one presents a little small on my wrist, which is a 7-inch wrist. You may love it, you may hate it, I don't know. The case itself, the finish is this matte or brushed kind of looking finish. I don't know how well it's going to show up on camera here, because I've got lots of glare going on, but it's not bad. I think it looks fine. I'll tell you what, though. It kind of... I mean, if I didn't know any better, I wouldn't think that it's brushed stainless steel. I'd think it's like, I don't know, a coating, like a spray paint almost. I mean, I'm not going to go scratching away on it, and I don't think it is, but it has that feeling to me. Like I have a gun that it's a Smith & Wesson, a little revolver, Smith & Wesson 642, small 38 caliber revolver, and it has this almost identical look. It's very, very similar, and it's kind of this sprayed on Cerakote or some sort of finish that is applied. It's not just a brushed stainless steel, and this resembles that quite a bit to me. You know, I don't know for sure that that's what it is. It's supposed to be just brushed stainless steel, but it doesn't look like it to me. I've seen what brushed stainless steel looks before, and this just looks like it's a coating. That said, it works. You know, it hasn't gotten scratched up on me. The back of the case is a polished stainless. You know, you can see the huge difference between that polished stainless and then the case. It just doesn't even look similar in the type of material that it is, if that makes any sense. But like I said, it's not bad. It works. It seems to be scratch resistant. I haven't marked it up at all. I've taken the straps on and off several times, and I've fat fingered it and fumbled with my tool. And it seems resilient, so, you know, it probably doesn't matter anyway. But it's something I noticed is it's kind of, it just looks weird to me. Anyway, the case we talked about. Well, how about the dial? I love the dial. It's this, you know, flat black dial, and it's got this almost busy but very geometric layout. One thing I dislike, and this is just, you know, aesthetics, we have the minute indicators around the outer ring there, and those are the most prominent indices on the entire watch. I prefer that to be the hour indices, if it were me. We do have the hour indices. They're smaller, and they're on the inner ring here. But, you know, for me, I prefer, especially in a watch this small, to have the minute indicators not be the most prominent indice. And, you know, that's kind of a theme that you would see in, like, a pilot's watch, like old-style World War II pilot's watch. The Germans might have called it a Flieger watch. But those watches are much, much bigger. They're generally at least 42 millimeters, probably, you know, well over 45 millimeters in most cases. That's the, you know, the popular styling. So, yeah, at a watch this size, it just seems a little off to me. It's not bad. Like I said, I like the look of it. I think it's still a nice layout. I think it's a handsome-looking dial, but you know, that's my opinion on it. We also have the day-date complication. It's a little small to read. I know up close on the camera here, it's like, oh, that looks plenty big. In person, with my eyes, which are not great, it's a little small. It's usable, but, you know, the whole watch is small, so you get what you get. The hands, they're good. They're very legible. They have some Lumibrite on them, so in the dark they kind of glow. Overall, you know, no complaints with the hands. The tip of the second hand is highlighted with a red, and on Sunday the letter SUN are also highlighted in red. Regarding the Lumibrite, Seiko Lumibrite is sort of legendary amongst the watch collecting internet community, I'm finding out. Yes, it works. Yes, it's pretty bright when it's initially charged. But no, it's not very bright for very long, and it does not last long, period. I don't think it's terrible, but I am not as impressed with it as it seems like some people are on the internet. It's okay. It works, but, you know, I'm not writing home about it. If I were outside all day and it was just in direct sunlight or even indirect sunlight, and then I went into, say, a movie theater, I mean, it's going to be probably not even glowing by the end of the movie if it's a 2-hour-long movie. It's just, you know, it doesn't last long. Certainly if it were fully charged up in the evening and you went to bed, it's not glowing in the morning. I don't know if anybody's does, but this one doesn't. I sort of wish that watches would use a technology called tritium. Tritium is used in firearms quite a bit for their sights so that they'll glow in the dark, you know, it's called night sights. Those glow forever. Well, not forever. They'll die after, I think, typically 10 to 15 years. But they don't require an external light source to charge them up. They just glow and glow and glow until they die 10 to 15 years later. That would be cool if it was integrated into watches more often. I don't know if there's some sort of technical reason why it's not, or if it's just a cost issue. I've bought plenty of firearms that have the, what's the word? Shoot. My brain just stopped working. Tritium, yeah. I've bought plenty of firearms that have tritium in the sights, and I've compared them to the same models. Often they're offered without the tritium night sights, and the cost difference is negligible. So if it's negligible in that industry, I would think that it wouldn't be too prohibitive in this industry either. Maybe it's a technical problem. I don't know. But yeah, there you go. That's basically, you know, all of the information about the dial that I could really share. This watch is water resistant, supposedly 30 meters or 100 feet, being as how the crown is not screwed down, it's just a push-pull crown. I would think that that would be a place where water could get into the system and muck it up. I'd be worried about that. So yeah, I mean, is it water resistant? I haven't tested it. They say, again, 30 meters or 100 feet. I'm sure it'd be fine for like getting it splashed with, you know, washing your hands or something. But yeah, I'm not going swimming with it. And the thing to remember, when they give these ratings, say 30 meters, 100 feet, that's like static pressure. That was like if we gently set the watch underwater. Let's say you're jumping into a swimming pool. Well, you're only, when your arm hits the water, it only goes maybe 2, 3, 4 feet underwater at the most, right? But that's like, I don't know if dynamic pressure is the right word, but you have all of this moving, rushing water around you. So that's, you know, barometric pressure, I guess, right? So while it says 30 meters, it doesn't mean 30 meters of like rushing water. It means 30 meters of just static water. So you could have the same pressure in a few feet of water just by, you know, if you're in the ocean and there was a strong current, plus you're moving and swimming and splashing around. So anyway, when it says that, that's not exactly what it means. And I have a very rudimentary understanding of it myself, so I'm probably not explaining it perfectly. But the point is, this doesn't mean you can just go 100 feet underwater and you'll be okay. This just means that it can withstand a certain amount of pressure. And pressures change depending on many factors at different depths. So, generally, I think it's suggested that if it's not rated for at least 200 meters, you're probably not going to want to go swimming with it. Even a 100-meter watch, I would be reluctant, particularly if it was expensive. If I got rained on, if it got splashed a little bit while I was washing my hands, that's generally not an issue for any watch that's resistant up to, you know, a relatively reasonable depth. But yeah, not swimming, I don't think. Speaking of the crown, you know, I mentioned that it is not screw down. So, it's a push-pull crown. Just get your finger under there, bring it out one click, and that is where you set the day and date. Bring it out another click, and that's where you set the time. A lot of people complain that this recessed crown is hard to get to. I don't have that problem, as you just saw. Very easy. My complaint is that it's very small. So if I were trying to set the day, well, let's say it was Sunday the 13th. The way I would set that is I would set it to Saturday the 12th, and then I would start rotating the time. Rotating, and I would flip the day, right? So 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. So it's going to start flipping. You see the date, is flipping there. Flipping. And now the day flips to Spanish, and at 3 a.m. it'll flip to English. So now it's 3 a.m. on the 13th. Well, anyway, that's all well and good. But this tiny little crown, it's hard to spin. Like, my fingers are getting sore, and I'm still spinning. And meanwhile, say it's 6 p.m. Like, I'm spinning. You know, now we're at noon, we're at 1 p.m., still spinning. And like, my fingers are getting sore because of how small. And there we go. Let's pretend it's 6 p.m. Voila. Well, that was a pain because of how small that crown was. So that's my complaint. Not that it's recessed. I like that it's recessed. It's out of the way. It doesn't gouge into your wrist or arm or anything while you're wearing it, but too small to spin. And that's sort of the overarching theme of this watch, isn't it? Too small. So yeah, that is what it is. What else? Pointed out some of the negatives, a lot of positives. It's just a good watch. It's pretty accurate, very nice looking. The other negative is the strap that comes with it. It is I don't know, they call it canvas. I think it's nylon, black, number 2-piece strap. It's got this, I'm guessing, fake leather stitched in over the holes. And on the opposing side, you have these buckles and keepers. Seiko's name emblazoned on the buckle. It looks okay. It's just not comfortable. It's pretty basic. So I bought some other straps to play around with. In particular, when I first got this, as I mentioned, I wanted this to be kind of my poor man's Hamilton. So the Hamilton that I liked came with a black leather strap. And I got a Hadley Roma black leather strap to go with it to try and make it dress up like the Hamilton. And then I also got a NATO. So, yeah. I'm going to give you some looks at those straps here in a second. But yeah, this strap, it'll work, I guess. I don't know of anybody that ever keeps it on this strap. So, for your mileage may vary. Maybe you'll love it, but I'm not a fan. Not comfortable. Not very good quality. So, that's basically it for the watch. I'm going to go ahead, pause the video, and I will do a couple of wrist shots with this strap, with some of the other straps, and give you an idea of how it, I had mentioned, like, it's just kind of small. It's kind of got a small wrist presence. Give you some ideas of, how it looks. But yeah, I'm going to pause the video and get out my tool because I forgot it to switch the straps around, and I'll be back in a few minutes. Alright, I'm back, and I got my little spring bar tool. So this was just a little $5 spring bar tool that I bought on Amazon. It's got a large side and it's a small side, but I have the pin pusher in on it. So this is what I use to change my straps, and that works okay. I thought, it's kind of interesting. I didn't mention it earlier. While I was looking for my tool, I remembered, hey, let's bring this up. A lot of people have been asking, and I was curious myself. What is with the Seiko 5? What does that mean? What is 5? Is it like some sort of, I don't know, cheaper version of a Seiko watch? Why 5? So I looked it up, and Seiko's kind enough to create a little website that explains everything about it. So Seiko 5 was created in 1963, the Sportsmatic 5, apparently. And the 5 is the 5 features that they decided were important and needed to be on this watch when it was developed. According to their websites, number 1 is automatic winding. Number 2, day-date displayed in a single window. Number 3 is water resistance. Number 4 is a recessed crown at the 4 o'clock position. And number 5 is a durable case and bracelet. Now, if you Google what is Seiko 5, you'll see that there's a lot of discussion and debate about what those 5 things are. Some people say that one of the 5 things is shock resistant. That's a common, I don't know if it's, I would say misconception, but according to the official Seiko watches website, those are the 5 things that make it officially a Seiko 5. So yeah, there you go. It's a design that's been around for a very long time, since 1963, like I had said. And you know, people say, well, is it a cheap is it, you know, they're like budget watch or something? Is it a, you know, is it a cheapie? I don't think that's the case. I don't think it was made to be cheap. I think it was you know, made to just have those specific features that they wanted to offer in a line of watches. So there you go. If you're interested, the Seiko Sportmatic 5. All right, so about the straps, like I said, I bought a couple different straps because I was not enthused with the strap that it came with. Originally, like I said, I wanted to have a Hamilton, so I like the Hamilton with the black leather strap. So my idea was I'll get this watch, which kind of similar in design, and I'll get this black leather strap. It's got white contrast stitching. It's Hadley Roma model MS894. It was not $35. I think it was around $22 or $24 on Amazon. So I'm not going to put this strap on right now. I just wanted to show it to you as like one of the options. And the reason I'm not going to is because I'm going to do a comparison video of the of the Hamilton watch and the Seiko watch, sort of a $50 versus $500 watch review. At that time, I'll put this strap on. But I just wanted to show you that this was one of the straps that I tried. Not a bad strap, but yeah, you know, that's what it is. Alternatively, I got this strap, and this strap I like rather quite a bit. It's just a cheap $10 Amazon NATO strap. I don't even know who made it, so I'm sorry, don't ask. It's not double stitched. The material is pretty thin, but it was like, you know, I just wanted to see if I'd like it. So for $10, I felt like, you know, I'm not losing. The holes are like heat welded, so they don't look like they're going to fray too much. The strap end looks like it is also heat welded, or I don't know if that's the correct term. Basically, it melted, right? So I'm going to go ahead and put this strap on the watch. But first, wrist presence. That's something I want to talk about. So here's what this watch looks like on my wrist. 7-inch wrist. Give me a second. I'll throw it on off camera. And you'll see that it is a little bit on the small side, even on my not humongous wrist. It's not bad. I mean, like I said, I like it. I think it's a good watch, but this is one of the points of contention for me. The sizing of the case, the presentation, the wrist presence, as I like to call it. So let me move the box out of the way and get my hand in there. All right, there you go. That is it on my 7-inch wrist. Diminutive, is that the word? It is not, but small it is. And to give you a point of comparison, because I have another watch that everybody is probably familiar with, or if you're not, you ought to be. It is, ta-da, the Casio focus. So there we go. F91W. This is a, you know, $10 watch at Walmart, on Amazon.com, all over the place. It's a cool little Casio digital watch. Everyone should own one. This is a small watch, so if you're familiar with this watch, you know how small it is. I got a little dust on there. Very small watch. The reason I'm showing you this is they are, well, the Casio is a little smaller than the Seiko. But look at the, again, what I call the wrist presence. They basically present about the same on the wrist, even though the Casio is a little smaller, probably because it doesn't have a circle case. So, you know, if you have a Casio F91W and you say to yourself, man, that's a small watch, you're going to probably think that this Seiko is a small watch too, because they present very similarly, in my opinion. They're not the same size. I feel like the Seiko is a little bit bigger, but you get that same kind of feeling from both of them. So, you know, there you go. I just wanted to show you that as a point of comparison, that if you're unhappy with the size of this little tiny Casio, which I am, I rarely wear it because it's so small. I have a G-Shock, the DW5600. That's the Casio that I typically wear when I want a Casio. but I also have this one because I like it. I also have the A168, which is kind of like this, but the stainless steel looking finish. I love that one. But yeah, small. So that's just to give you an idea of kind of what you can expect if you, you know, have not seen this watch in person and you want to know, you know, how big is it really? Yeah, that's it. So alright, I'm going to pull this off. Oh, here's another little negative on this strap. I don't know how well you'll be able to see it. You see the fake leather? Let me get a pointer so I'm not casting shadows. So this little flap of leather, every time you push it through the buckle, it just gets caught, and that's going to wear out for sure. I can guarantee it. That's not going to last long. Every time the strap goes through the buckle, every time the strap goes through either of these keepers, it catches and it's a point of resistance. Long term, that's not going to last. I can guarantee it. So if you use this strap, expect at the very least your little faux leather over-stitched piece of fabric to get jacked up. You know, I don't know if there's anything you can do about it. Glue it down, a little dab of super glue maybe, or crazy glue, or whatever, maybe hot glue, I don't know. But they should have thought about that. Mechanical flaw on the strap. Strap itself, like I said, it's not comfortable. It's like seatbelt material, which, I mean, you know, all nylon straps are gonna be, I guess, but some are itchier than others. So yeah, there you have it. Alright, so what I'm gonna do is take this strap off and put it on the NATO. I'm not going to do that on camera because sometimes I can get it off real quick and sometimes it takes me forever. So I'm going to pause the video again and I'll be right back. Alrighty? Alright, I am back and I have the OEM default strap off, as you can see. And yes, it was actually not bad getting the strap off. I got that right off, but getting the spring bars back on was a pain in the balls. But we got it. So here's this NATO that I got off of Amazon, and it's just one big long piece of nylon that's stitched together there and then goes out to the tail. It's very easy to put out. I'm sure you all know how to do it, but if you don't, it's difficult to do through the viewfinder without fumbling about, but slide it through there like so, and slide it up through there like so, and then probably too far. Slide it through there. Probably the worst all-time example of how to do that because of how close and out of focus and everything, but there you go. Now, it is on the gray and black NATO, and I think that is much nicer looking than the default strap. I think that's sharp. You may or may not disagree. Interestingly, a lot of people refer to this gray and black NATO as the James Bond or the Bond NATO. Funny thing, I just read about this yesterday, and I assume that it's true. I'll take it at face value and believe that it is. James Bond never wore a black and gray NATO originally, you know, like the Sean Connery James Bond. His NATO was black with olive stripes, and then it had little, very, very fine red stripes. Like, instead of gray, it would be olive, and then these red, very, very thin red stripes on either side. So it would have a total of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 stripes instead of 5. 4, 5, yeah, 5. So yeah, this is usually called the Bond NATO. Like, if you wanted to Google Bond NATO and you wanted to buy one, this is what you're going to find more often than not, this black and gray. But that's not traditionally the Bond NATO. Now, I'm going to throw this on my wrist so you can see what it looks like on the NATO strap. Oh, I love it. I think it's so much nicer than that default strap. And if anybody buys this watch, do yourself a favor and, you know, find a NATO that you like the color and the design of. Maybe it's a solid black. Maybe it's a different color. Have fun with it. They're relatively inexpensive, so you don't have to worry about spending a lot of money. You can get a bunch of different ones and just play with them, you know? So there we go. That's on my wrist on the NATO, the quote-unquote Bond NATO, which it is not. But, you know, it doesn't look any bigger, of course. You know, like I said, my main point of contention about this watch was the sizing. It doesn't look any bigger, but it just looks sharp. I like it. Makes me happy. So yeah, if If you're thinking like, should I just use the default strap? Should I get a leather strap? You know, check my next video to see this on the leather strap next to the Hamilton. Or if you're asking yourself, should I get a NATO? I mean, here's my recommendation: get the NATO. Any NATO, 18 millimeters. You know, cheap $9, $10 NATOs up to, there's some more expensive ones out there that I haven't tried yet, but maybe someday I'll give them a shot as well. So yeah, you know, that's basically my presentation overall. Give you an idea of what you're looking at when you buy this watch. Oh, you know what? I'll show you the box. Why not? The box that it comes in. Let's move this stuff out of the way a little bit. And here's your box. Standard Seiko box, blue box, white slipcase. On the outside of the box, you do have a upside down. Apparently, you do have a tag, SNK809, $185. That's the MSRP, if I'm not mistaken. Not what I paid, of course. I said earlier, around $58 on Amazon. So you pull off the slipcase, and you have the blue box. You open it up. You're presented with the white Seiko pillow. And that's what the watch is strapped down to for safety during transit. It's this like vinyl, squishy, little white pillow. It is what it is. It's fine. On the watch, you should find a tag, reference number SNK809, $185. Water resistant 30 meters, Hardlex Crystal. Screw see-through case back, Lumibrite hands and markers. And then on the back, you see it has caliber 7S26. Of course, this watch comes with the 7S26C as opposed to the A or B, which are the older generations, and a barcode. Also in the box, you get a registration card and a product warranty and instruction manual, and they're jammed in there. So let me get them out. The product registration card. I don't even know if this would be applicable to somebody in America because. I mean, I guess that's Seiko USA. I guess you can register. But yeah, you know, your typical product registration stuff. Fill out all the info, send it in. I guess you're registered for what? I don't know, because I don't think you get a warranty with this watch from Seiko if you bought it through a third party like Amazon. And the reason I think that is because in your limited warranty and instruction booklet. Focus. Come on, camera, focus. There we go. In your limited warranty and instruction booklet, on the back page, there's this card. It is your certificate of limited warranty. But if you look at the back, it's not filled out, and the retailer is supposed to fill that out. If they're an authorized dealer, is my understanding. So, not filled out from Amazon. Amazon says they offer a 2-year warranty to you through Amazon. So, you know, I guess that's your warranty, is through them, not Seiko. What else? Just, you know, basic instructions. This is in multiple languages. It's probably a few pages of how to set the time, how to not wreck your watch, you know, basic instructions. And that's it. That's all that's in the box. That's what you get when you purchase this through Amazon. So, yeah, that's my review of the SNK809. Like I said, sometime in the near future, I am going to have a comparison review of this Seiko watch next to the Hamilton Khaki Field watch. That's the Khaki Field automatic 38mm. So we're going to put those side by side, do the pros and cons of both, do a thorough comparison, and yeah, you know, in the end, who's going to win that battle, that fight, whatever you want to call it? I mean, it's going to be the Hamilton, hands down, for me. But this is not a bad watch in its own right, and the comparison might make you decide that I don't need to spend, you know, $450 or thereabouts on a Hamilton. I'd be more than happy with the Seiko. So I think it'll be a cool review. We'll get that as soon as possible, probably within the week. So yeah, thanks for tuning in and checking out my SNK809 review. I do appreciate it. And if you would like and share this video, subscribe to my channel, and stay tuned for more videos. Thanks a lot, guys.